I woke up to silence. Not the comfortable kind, the one I used to wake up to when Nathan was beside me, his slow breathing filling the space between us. This was different. This was empty. The sheets beside me were cold. I frowned, reaching out instinctively, my fingers brushing against nothing but air. My stomach twisted as I pushed myself up, glancing toward the bathroom door. It was open. No light on. Something felt wrong. I slipped out of bed, my bare feet hitting the hardwood floor as I moved through the house. Every step felt heavier than the last. Nathan. My voice echoed in the quiet. Nothing. The living room was untouched. The kitchen exactly the same as last night. But as I turned toward the entryway, my chest tightened. His shoes were gone. His jacket, the one he never left without, was missing from the hook by the door. I checked my phone. No messages. No missed calls. I told myself there had to be an explanation. Maybe he went out for something. Maybe he just needed air. But then an hour passed. And another. By the time the sun climbed high in the sky, the truth was pressing against my ribs like a vice. Nathan was gone. I sat on the couch, gripping my phone so tightly my knuckles ached. I called him. Straight to voicemail. I texted. No response. I should have been angry. I should have screamed, thrown something, demanded an answer from the universe. But I didn't. I just sat there staring at the door, waiting for it to open. Waiting for the man I loved to walk back through it. But he never did. The world didn't stop when Nathan left. It should have. It felt like it had, like everything had come to a screeching halt the moment I realized he wasn't coming back. But life was cruel that way. It moved forward, merciless and indifferent, even when your heart had been shattered into 1,000 unfixable pieces. Days blurred together. At first I didn't leave the house. I kept expecting to hear his key in the lock, to wake up and find him standing in the doorway with some ridiculous excuse. I had to go, Claire. I had no choice. I swear I was coming back. But no one knocked. No one called. The man I had given my heart to had disappeared without a trace, and I was left drowning in the aftermath. When a week passed, I finally forced myself to go back to work. I thought the routine would help, that if I focused on something other than the gaping hole in my life, I could find a way to breathe again. And then everything changed. Started with the exhaustion. The kind that settled deep into my bones no matter how much I slept. Then came the nausea, first in the mornings, then all the time. At first I blamed it on stress. My body was still in shock from what had happened, from the weight of losing someone without warning. But deep down, a whisper of fear started to take root. It took me days to work up the courage to buy a test. I remember sitting on the edge of the bathtub, staring at the little plastic stick in my shaking hands. 5 minutes had never felt so long. My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear myself breathe. And then there it was. 2 pink lines. Pregnant. The air left my lungs. I stared at the result, unblinking, waiting for my mind to catch up. Waiting for the moment it would sink in that I wasn't alone. Nathan had left, but he hadn't taken all of himself with him. I pressed a hand to my stomach, my breath shuddering as 1,000 emotions crashed over me at once. Joy, terror, grief. This should have been a moment of celebration. A moment of whispered excitement in the dark as we dreamed about names and tiny hands wrapped around fingers. Instead, I was sitting in an empty bathroom holding a pregnancy test in my hands with no one to share it with. Tears blurred my vision as I squeezed my eyes shut. I wanted to hate him. I wanted to scream, to curse his name, to tell myself that he didn't deserve to know. That if he could leave me without a second thought, he had no right to this part of my life. But then I thought about all the nights we had spent talking about the future. The way his face would light up when we passed by a playground, how he would squeeze my hand and whisper, "One day, Claire. One day that'll be us." And now he would never know. I spent the next few weeks convincing myself that he wasn't coming back. That I had to be strong. That this baby, this tiny unseen life growing inside me, deserved a mother who wasn't drowning in sorrow. So I picked myself up. I went to doctor's appointments alone. I decorated a nursery in soft yellows and greens. I learned to talk to the little one inside me, whispering promises in the quiet of the night. I don't know what the future holds, but I promise you this. I will love you enough for both of us. And somehow, against all odds, that love became enough. Until a year later, when the past came crashing back into my life. A year passes and I learn how to live again. Not all at once. Not in some big dramatic moment where the pain suddenly disappears. No, grief doesn't work that way. It lingers, settles into the cracks of your heart, makes a home inside you. Some days it's quieter, just a dull ache in the background. Other days it's suffocating, wrapping around my chest so tightly I can barely breathe. But I keep going. Because I have to. Because he needs me. Eli is everything. The first time I held him, I thought my heart would burst. He had a full head of soft brown hair, tiny fingers that curled around mine like he already knew me. When his deep blue eyes, Nathan's eyes, blinked up at me, I thought I might shatter. But I didn't. Because I had made him a promise. So I love him enough for both of us. I hold him when he cries. I hum lullabies in the dark, rocking him back to sleep when nightmares stir him awake. I press kisses to his chubby cheeks and whisper to him about the stars, about all the things I hope he gets to see one day. I build a life for him, a life that Nathan chose to walk away from. And somehow in the process I find a way to keep breathing again. Daniel helps. I met him 6 months ago. One of those chance encounters that happen when you least expect them. Eli had been crying for an hour straight and I was running on maybe 2 hours of sleep when I bumped into him. Literally. Spilled coffee, stammered apologies, my hands full with a fussy baby who was determined to make me lose my mind. And then Daniel had smiled. Not one of those fake polite smiles people give out of pity. A real one. Warm. Patient. The kind that made me feel like I wasn't drowning. He had helped me clean up, then sat with me in that tiny cafe, rocking Eli in his arms while I finally took a breath. He didn't push. Didn't ask questions. Just showed up. And he never really stopped. At first it was small things. Helping me carry groceries, dropping off coffee at the hospital where I worked, fixing the broken latch on Eli's crib without me asking. Then before I knew it he was part of our routine. Dinners at my place. Trips to the park with Eli on his shoulders, making him giggle louder than I ever thought possible. Late-night conversations on my couch, where I finally let myself laugh again. Daniel is safe. He is steady. He is everything I should want. And yet there's a part of me that still feels like I'm standing in a house with missing walls, trying to convince myself that it's complete. I ignore that part. Because Daniel is here. And Nathan isn't. One night after I put Eli to bed, Daniel stays a little longer than usual. We sit on the couch, his arm resting on the back of it, close but not touching. You're exhausted, he murmurs, tilting his head to look at me. I let out a soft laugh. Always. He watches me for a moment before speaking. You don't have to do this alone, Claire. Something in my chest tightens but I force a smile. I'm not alone. His eyes search mine. He doesn't say anything but I know what he's thinking. That I won't let him all the way in. That I still keep part of myself guarded. And he's right. Because deep down I know I am still waiting for something. Or maybe I am waiting for someone. But that someone is never coming back. So I take a breath, push away the ghost of a man I once loved, and let Daniel pull me into his arms. I let myself believe for just a moment that maybe this is enough. That maybe I don't need to look over my shoulder anymore. That the past is just that, the past. But the universe has other plans. Because the very next day Nathan comes back. I hear the knock but I don't think much of it at first. Eli is fussing in his high chair, tiny fingers smearing mashed banana all over his face, and Daniel is chuckling beside me as he wipes the mess from Eli's chubby cheeks. It's an ordinary morning, simple and warm, the kind I have come to treasure. The knock comes again, firmer this time. I frown, setting down my coffee. It's too early for visitors. My mother isn't due to stop by and Daniel is already here. A strange feeling coils in my stomach as I wipe my hands on a dish towel and make my way toward the door. The moment I pull it open, my entire world tilts on its axis. Nathan stands on the other side. For a moment I can't move. Can't breathe. My hands tighten around the doorknob, my pulse roaring in my ears. It can't be him. But it is. His dark brown hair is slightly longer than I remember, tousled like he's been running his fingers through it. His sharp jawline is covered with a light layer of scruff, and his once bright blue eyes, the eyes I memorized like a prayer, are tired, haunted. I open my mouth but no words come out. 1,000 questions battle in my mind but none make it past my lips. Where have you been? Why did you leave? Why no? Nathan stares at me like he's seeing a ghost. His throat bobs, his breath shaky. Claire. The sound of my name on his lips is enough to shatter me all over again. I hate that it still affects me, that it sends something sharp through my chest. I hate him. And yet all I can do is stand there, frozen in the doorway, torn between slamming the door in his face and stepping forward just to see if he's real. A small giggle breaks the silence. Eli. My entire body stiffens. Nathan's gaze flickers over my shoulder, drawn to the sound. I see it in his face, the exact second he notices the high chair. The tiny feet kicking against the tray. The moment his eyes land on our son. His entire body locks up. His lips part, his breathing suddenly shallow. He looks at Eli, then at me, then back again. Claire. His voice is barely a whisper. Is he? My throat is dry, but I force the words out. Yes. A heavy silence hangs between us, thick and suffocating. Nathan's entire body trembles as he drags his fingers through his hair, his gaze locked onto Eli as if the world has just been pulled out from under him. I don't let myself feel sympathy. I don't let myself care. Because he left. He doesn't get to stand here now, looking broken, looking wrecked over a life he chose to abandon. Footsteps sound behind me, and then Daniel's voice, steady, warm, protective. Claire. Nathan's head snaps up, his sharp gaze locking onto Daniel as he steps beside me. I swear I see something in him crack when his eyes land on the way Daniel is standing so close to me, the way his hand lingers near the small of my back. I should have been prepared for this moment. But I wasn't. Nathan's expression shifts, hurt colliding with disbelief, jealousy crashing into realization. His eyes dart between Daniel and me, the truth slamming into him with full force. He's too late. His voice is hoarse when he finally speaks. You moved on. I stare at him, at the man I once loved, the man who was supposed to be my forever, and I force myself to harden. You left me no choice. Nathan flinches just barely, but I catch it. A war rages behind his eyes, a storm of emotions barely contained. His hands tighten into fists at his sides, his jaw clenching like he's fighting something he doesn't know how to control. And then he does something I never expected. He takes a step forward. Claire, he murmurs, voice thick with something that sounds like regret, like desperation. I never wanted to leave. I hold up a hand. Don't. He freezes. I force myself to breathe, to push down the 1,000 emotions clawing their way to the surface. You don't get to come back here and act like you have a right to this life, I say, my voice sharper than I feel. You don't get to stand there and look at me like I'm the one who broke us. Nathan doesn't move, but I see the way his fingers twitch. The way his stormy blue eyes glisten with words he wants to say but doesn't. Go, I whisper, my voice shaking. Before you break me again. He stares at me for a long moment, and I swear I see something inside him crumble. But he doesn't argue. He just nods once stiffly and then slowly turns around, walking away before I can change my mind. I don't watch him leave. Instead, I step back inside, shutting the door, locking it. And then, for the first time in a long time, I allow myself to cry. Nathan doesn't stay gone. I knew he wouldn't. I saw it in his eyes before I shut the door in his face. The determination, the disbelief, the aching regret. He wasn't going to walk away quietly, not now. Not after seeing Eli. And I hate that a part of me was expecting him. 2 days pass before he comes back. This time I find him waiting outside the hospital when my shift ends. I stop in my tracks the second I see him, my pulse spiking. He's leaning against a lamppost, hands shoved into the pockets of his jacket, his gaze locked onto me the moment I step out of the building. For a second neither of us moves. Then slowly he pushes off the post and walks toward me. I should leave. I should pretend I don't see him and walk straight to my car. But my feet betray me. Nathan stops a few feet away, his blue eyes scanning my face like he's trying to memorize every detail. I cross my arms, keeping my posture stiff, unwilling to let my guard slip. What do you want? I ask, my voice colder than I feel. He exhales, his jaw tightening. 5 minutes. I shake my head, my chest tightening. Nathan. Please, Claire, he says, and something in his voice makes me pause. You deserve an explanation. I don't know if that's true. Maybe some things don't deserve explanations. Maybe some things are just too broken to fix. But I hear myself say, 5 minutes. We find a quiet bench near the hospital, the night air crisp around us. I sit stiffly, keeping my distance, while Nathan leans forward, resting his elbows on his knees, his fingers laced together like he's trying to hold himself together. And then he speaks. I never meant to leave. I scoff, shaking my head. You just accidentally disappeared? His eyes flick up to mine, filled with something raw. I had no choice. My heart clenches, but I force myself to stay indifferent. You always had a choice, Nathan. You chose to leave. You chose to walk away from me, from us. He scrubs a hand over his face, exhaling sharply. I was in trouble, Claire. The kind I couldn't drag you into. I frown, studying him. What kind of trouble? He hesitates, and for the first time I see it, the exhaustion in his posture, the weight pressing down on him. Hi, father, he finally says. My breath catches. Nathan never talked much about his father. What little I knew was pieced together from tense conversations and the few stories he had reluctantly shared. A man who was more a shadow than a presence, whose name carried weight in the worst way possible. I shift slightly. Nathan, what did you do? His lips press together before he exhales. I didn't do anything. He did. And I got caught in the middle. I wait, my heart pounding. My father owed people money, he continues. A lot of it. And when he couldn't pay, they came after me. A chill runs down my spine. Who? Nathan clenches his jaw. The kind of people you don't say no to. I stare at him, my mind racing. So you ran. He looks at me then, and I see the torment in his eyes. I had to, Claire. They threatened you. They threatened to hurt you if I didn't disappear. The words hit me like a punch to the chest. I gripped the edge of the bench, trying to make sense of it. So, you thought leaving me, leaving everything was the answer? He looks away, his jaw tight. I thought it was the only way to keep you safe. For a moment I can't breathe. I had spent a year hating him, cursing him, wondering what I had done wrong, what I had done to make him leave. And all this time he had left because he thought it would protect me. But that doesn't erase the pain. It doesn't undo the nights I spent crying, the mornings I woke up reaching for him, only to remember that he was gone. I stand abruptly, my hands shaking. You don't get to come back here and act like that makes it okay. Nathan stands too, his expression raw. I know that. Do you? My voice cracks. Because you left me. You left me to pick up the pieces of the life you abandoned. He flinches, his hands balling into fists at his sides. You didn't even say goodbye, I whisper, my throat tight. You didn't give me a chance to fight for you. To fight for us. He drags a hand through his hair. If I had said goodbye, I wouldn't have been able to leave. Tears burn my eyes, but I refuse to let them fall. I needed you, Nathan. My voice wavers. We needed you. His face twists in anguish. I know. Silence stretches between us, filled with too many words left unsaid. Finally, I take a shaky breath. It doesn't change anything. Nathan's eyes darken. It changes everything. I shake my head, stepping back. You don't get to decide that. You don't get to come back here and expect me to forget what you did. His chest rises and falls, his blue eyes burning into mine. I don't expect you to forget. He swallows hard. I just need to know, is it too late? My heart stutters. Because I don't have an answer. I turn away, my voice barely above a whisper. I don't know. And before he can say anything else, I walk away. Because if I don't, I might let myself believe that loving him is enough. Nathan isn't the kind of man who gives up easily. I should have known that the moment I walked away, the moment I left him standing there with that desperate question hanging in the air, that this wasn't over. But I told myself I could pretend it was. That if I just kept moving forward, if I threw myself into work, into Eli, into Daniel, then maybe, just maybe, I could outrun the past. I was wrong. Because Nathan is everywhere. I see him outside the daycare when I drop Eli off, standing at a distance, watching as our son laughs with other children, completely unaware that his father is near. I see him at the grocery store where I turn a corner and nearly crash into him, my heart slamming against my ribs as he murmurs, Claire. I see him in my dreams. And worst of all, I see him in Eli. Every time my son looks up at me with those deep blue eyes, every time his tiny fingers curl around mine in the same way Nathan's once did, I feel the weight of the past pressing down on me. And Daniel notices. One night after Eli is asleep, we sit together on my couch. The room is dimly lit, soft music playing from my speaker. Daniel has always been the kind of man who doesn't push, who doesn't demand more than I'm ready to give. But tonight there's something different in the way he looks at me. You've been quiet lately, he says, his voice even. I force a small smile. Long week. He studies me, his hazel eyes searching mine. It's him, isn't it? I exhale slowly, looking down at my hands. Daniel. I'm not mad, he says before I can finish. His voice is gentle but firm. I just need to know where your heart is. I close my eyes. Where is my heart? A year ago the answer would have been simple. It was with Nathan, the man who promised me forever and then vanished like a ghost. The man who left me to carry our child alone. But Daniel was the one who stayed. He was the one who picked up the broken pieces, the one who never let me feel like I was drowning. He was the one who held Eli in his arms like he had been there from the start. He was safe. And yet, my heart is tangled in the past. I look up at him, my throat tight. I don't know how to answer that. Daniel's jaw clenches, but he nods like he expected that. I need to ask you something, he says carefully. I brace myself. Okay. His hazel eyes meet mine. If he had never left, if he had never disappeared, would you still be with him? The question hits me like a wrecking ball. Because I know the answer. And so does he. I look away and the silence between us is louder than any words I could say. Daniel lets out a slow breath, nodding to himself. Then he stands, rubbing a hand over his face before shoving it into his pocket. I love you, Claire, he says quietly. And I love Eli. But I need to know that I'm not just the man you settled for. Tears burn in my eyes. You're not. He gives me a sad smile. Aren't I? I don't know how to answer that either. Before I can find the words, he leans down and presses a soft kiss to my forehead. Take some time, he murmurs. Figure out what you want. Then he walks to the door, pausing just before he opens it. If it's me, I'll be here. And then he's gone. I sit there for a long time, my heart aching, my chest tight. And I realize something that terrifies me. No matter what I choose, I'm going to break someone's heart. I tell myself I'm not going to let it happen. That I can control this. That I can keep him away from Eli, keep our two worlds from colliding. That I can protect my son from the confusion, from the pain, from the man who walked away before he even knew he existed. But deep down I know the truth. It was always going to happen. Nathan was never going to stay in the shadows. And this morning as I walk into the daycare holding Eli's tiny hand in mine, I feel it before I even see him. The weight of his presence. The slow burn of his stare. I stop mid-step, my pulse stuttering. Nathan stands just outside the fence, his fingers gripping the metal, his stormy blue eyes locked onto Eli. He looks wrecked. Like the weight of the past year is finally catching up to him. Like seeing our son standing there, laughing, smiling, playing with other kids, is both the most beautiful and most heartbreaking thing he's ever seen. I kneel down to Eli's level, gently brushing his dark brown curls away from his face, forcing my voice to stay steady. Baby, go play for a few minutes, okay? Mommy will be right here. Eli grins, nodding eagerly before running toward the other kids. I straighten, take a deep breath and turn to Nathan. His gaze doesn't leave Eli. Not even for a second. I step closer, my arms crossing over my chest like a shield. You shouldn't be here. Nathan blinks, finally looking at me. I had to see him. His voice is rough, like it physically hurt him to speak. I shake my head, anger and panic warring inside me. No, you didn't. His jaw clenches. Yes, I did. There's something about the way he says it, something so raw, so desperate, that I falter. Nathan swallows hard, his hands tightening around the fence. He looks just like you. I let out a hollow laugh. That's a lie. His lips press into a thin line because we both know it. Eli is his mirror. His dark brown hair, his stormy blue eyes, his stubborn little pout. There's no mistaking who his father is. Nathan's gaze drifts back to our son, something unreadable flickering across his face. What's his name? The question stings. He should already know. I bite the inside of my cheek before answering. Eli. Nathan breathes out slowly, like the name is something sacred, something he wants to hold on to forever. A long silence stretches between us. Then, barely above a whisper, he asks, "Does he know about me?" I hesitate, my fingers gripping the strap of my purse. He knows he has a daddy. I swallow hard. But he doesn't know who you are. Nathan flinches like I just punched him in the gut. I should feel satisfied. But all I feel is exhausted. He drags a hand down his face, his breathing uneven. Claire, No, I shake my head. You don't get to do this. You don't get to stand here and look at him like you didn't make the choice to leave. Nathan's expression tightens. You think I wanted to? I don't care what you wanted, I snap, my voice rising. You left Nathan. And now you want to come back like you're owed something? He steps closer and for the first time I see something fierce, something determined in his eyes. I don't want anything, he says. I just want him to know me. The words knock the air from my lungs. Because I don't know if I can let that happen. Because the thought of Nathan being in Eli's life, only to leave again, terrifies me more than anything. I shake my head, my throat tight. I don't know if I can trust you with him. Nathan's expression cracks. Claire, please. I exhale sharply, my heart pounding. And then, before I can stop myself, before I can think about what this means, I make the hardest decision of my life. I whisper, come back tomorrow. Nathan's eyes widen, hope flickering behind the pain. For what? I swallow hard. To meet your son. I don't sleep that night. I lie awake, staring at the ceiling, my thoughts racing in endless circles. Nathan is meeting Eli tomorrow. I don't know if I made the right choice. Part of me still wants to slam the door shut, to protect my son from a man who once walked away without looking back. But another part of me, the part that remembers the way Nathan looked at Eli like he was seeing the entire world for the first time, whispers that maybe, just maybe, I should give him this chance. By morning, exhaustion weighs heavy in my bones. But there's no time to dwell on it. Eli is already awake, climbing onto my bed with a sleepy grin and messy hair. Mama, he giggles, pressing his tiny hands against my face. Wake up. I laugh despite myself, pulling him into my arms. He smells like baby shampoo and warmth, and for a moment I close my eyes, inhaling deeply. No matter what happens today, he is my priority. I get us both ready, making breakfast, keeping my hands busy so my mind doesn't spiral. But before I can overthink for the 100th time, a knock sounds at my door. Not Nathan. It's too early for that. I open the door and Daniel stands there. His hazel eyes flick over me, searching as if he already knows something is wrong. Of course he does. You look exhausted, he says softly. I force a small smile. Rough night. Daniel exhales, stepping inside. Claire, we need to talk. My stomach twists. I know. He rubs the back of his neck, looking hesitant, something he never is. I saw him yesterday. I don't pretend not to understand. My fingers tighten around the edge of the counter. Daniel. He's back, Daniel says, his voice careful but firm. And I need to know where that leaves us. I inhale shakily, looking away. I don't know. Silence. Daniel's jaw tenses. He nods slowly like he expected that answer. Do you love him? The question slams into me. I open my mouth but no words come out. Because I don't know how to answer that. I love you, Daniel continues, stepping closer. And I love Eli. I've been here, Claire. Every single day, when he woke up crying, when you were exhausted, when you thought you couldn't do this alone. His voice softens. But you weren't alone. You had me. Tears sting my eyes. I know. I don't want to lose you, he admits, his voice rough. So I need you to hear me out before you make any decisions. I lift my gaze to his, my heart pounding. Daniel. He pulls something from his pocket. A small velvet box. My breath catches. Oh, this isn't happening. Daniel takes a deep breath, then kneels in front of me. My hands fly to my mouth, my vision blurring. I want to be your future, Claire, he says, his voice filled with certainty. Not just yours but Eli's too. He opens the box, revealing a simple, elegant ring. Marry me. The air leaves my lungs. Daniel, I whisper. I love you, he says again. I have loved you since the first time I saw you struggling with Eli in that cafe, and I knew in that moment, I wanted to be the man who stood beside you, who loved you through all of it. Tears slide down my cheeks. You don't have to do this alone anymore, he murmurs. Let me be your family. A sob escapes me. Because this should be easy. Daniel is good and steady. He's safe. He has been here for me, for Eli, for every moment when I thought I wouldn't survive the weight of it all. And yet, as I stare down at the man who has given me nothing but love, all I can think about is the man I never stopped loving. Nathan. I squeeze my eyes shut, my heart shattering under the weight of this moment. Because no matter what I say next, someone is going to get hurt. I don't say yes. I don't say no either. The silence stretches between us, heavy and suffocating. Daniel kneels there, still holding the ring, his hazel eyes searching mine for an answer I can't give him. I press a trembling hand to my lips, my chest rising and falling in uneven breaths. Daniel. His expression shifts. He already knows. Slowly, he exhales and closes the box, standing up with quiet resignation. He doesn't lash out. He doesn't demand answers. He just nods, pressing his lips into a thin line. Take your time, he says, his voice controlled but distant. But don't take too long, Claire. Because I can't wait forever. And then he walks away. The moment the door clicks shut behind him, I collapse onto the couch, burying my face in my hands. I feel like I'm drowning. I want to love Daniel the way he deserves. I want to be sure to choose him without hesitation. But my heart has never worked that way. Because part of it still belongs to someone else. And I hate myself for it. I don't have time to process any of it before another knock sounds at the door. Not again. My body is still trembling from Daniel's proposal when I force myself to stand and open the door. Nathan. His stormy blue eyes are filled with urgency, his posture tense like he's been pacing before he finally decided to knock. His gaze sweeps over my face, lingering on my tear-streaked cheeks, and his jaw tightens. What happened? He asks, his voice rough. I shake my head, stepping back. I don't want to do this right now. Nathan doesn't move. I saw him leave. His voice is quieter this time, edged with something unreadable. Did he ask you to marry him? I swallow hard. It's none of your business. His hands clench into fists at his sides. Claire. I wrap my arms around myself, exhaustion crashing over me. Why are you here, Nathan? He exhales sharply, running a hand through his hair. Because I can't keep pretending like I don't care. I stare at him, my breath hitching. What? I can't stand the thought of you with him, he says, voice shaking. I know I have no right. I know I lost you the second I walked away. But Claire, he steps forward, his blue eyes dark with desperation. I never stopped loving you. A sharp pain pierces through my chest. I shake my head, taking a step back. You don't get to say that. Why not? His voice rises, emotion raw and unchecked. Because it's the truth? Because you still feel it too. Tears burn in my eyes. You don't know what I feel. Nathan exhales shakily, running a hand down his face. Then tell me you don't love me anymore. I freeze. The air between us crackles, heavy with everything unsaid. My voice breaks. I can't say it, because it would be a lie. Nathan takes another step closer, and suddenly he's right in front of me. I can feel the warmth of him, smell the familiar scent that used to mean home. His hands tremble as they lift, hovering just inches from my face, like he's afraid I'll pull away. Tell me to leave, he murmurs. Tell me that Daniel is the one you want, and I swear, Claire, I'll walk away. My throat tightens. I should say it. I should end this right now before it spirals even further out of control. But I can't. Nathan lets out a broken laugh, shaking his head. I knew it. My vision blurs as I whisper, this doesn't change anything. His hands finally cup my face, his touch achingly familiar. Doesn't it? I close my eyes. Because for the first time in a long time I don't know what I want. I run. Not physically, not in the way Nathan did when he left, but in every other way that matters. I pull away from him before his touch can burn itself deeper into my skin. I step back, I force myself to breathe, I do everything in my power not to collapse under the weight of his words. I can't do this, I whisper. Nathan's hands drop to his sides, his blue eyes dark with something heavy, something desperate. Claire, please. I shake my head, swallowing against the lump in my throat. You don't get to come back after a year and expect me to just forget everything. I don't want you to forget. His voice is raw, full of the same pain that's been eating me alive. I just want a chance. I let out a hollow laugh, my arms wrapping around myself like they can hold me together. A chance. My voice wavers. Do you have any idea what it was like, Nathan? Waking up every day wondering what I did wrong? Carrying our son alone, knowing he would never know his father. Nathan flinches, but I don't stop. I can't. I hated you, I whisper, my voice shaking. For so long I hated you for leaving me, for leaving him. I squeeze my eyes shut, forcing back the tears that threatened to spill. And now you're here telling me you never stopped loving me? That you want a second chance? He takes a slow step forward, voice hoarse. Yes. I let out a sharp breath, shaking my head. It's not that simple. His jaw clenches. It could be. I look at him, at the man who once held my entire world in his hands, the man I never stopped loving even when I wanted to. And I feel it again, the deep aching pull of him, the way my heart still knows his like it was never broken. But then I think about Daniel. About the way he stayed. About the nights he held Eli when I was too exhausted to move, the mornings he brought me coffee, the way he never let me feel like I was drowning. I think about how easy it would be to choose him. But love isn't easy. And I am so tired of feeling like I am constantly being torn in two. I need time, I say finally, my voice barely above a whisper. Nathan's eyes search mine. How much time? I shake my head. I don't know. He swallows hard, nodding, but I can see the way his hands clench, the way his entire body is bracing for the impact of whatever happens next. I'll wait, he says, his voice steady but pained. As long as it takes. The words break something inside me. Because someone is going to lose. And I don't know if I'm strong enough to decide who. I wake up to sunlight streaming through my window, but there is no warmth in it. 4 days I felt like I'm living in someone else's skin, trapped in a life that isn't mine, stuck between two men who both hold pieces of my heart. Nathan is everywhere. He's in Eli's laughter, in the late-night thoughts that keep me awake, in the aching memories I swore I had buried. Daniel is here. He has always been here. And as much as I want to pretend that love is some uncontrollable force, something that simply happens to us, I know now that love is a choice. And I have already made mine. I find Daniel at his apartment. I don't call ahead, don't give myself time to overthink. When he opens the door, his expression shifts from surprise to quiet understanding. You've made your choice, he says, voice unreadable. My throat tightens. I have. Daniel watches me, his hazel eyes searching mine, bracing for the worst. I step forward, close the space between us, and lace my fingers with his. I choose you, I whisper. His breath shudders, his grip on my hands tightening like he doesn't trust this to be real. Claire. I love him, I say, the truth like a knife. A part of me always will. I squeeze his hands, my voice trembling. But he left. And you stayed. Daniel exhales sharply, his forehead pressing against mine. Are you sure? I let out a shaky laugh, a real one. I've never been more sure of anything. And then, before I can say another word, his lips crash into mine. It's different than I imagined. Not rushed, not desperate, not the kind of kiss that is afraid of slipping away. It's steady. Certain. The kind of love that is built, not found. The kind of love that stays. Nathan doesn't fight me when I tell him. I meet him at a park where Eli is playing on the swings, his laughter ringing through the crisp autumn air. Nathan watches him with quiet longing, his hands tucked into the pockets of his jacket, shoulders tense. I sit beside him on the bench, inhaling slowly, gathering the strength for what I have to say. I'm choosing Daniel. The words hang between us, final and unshakable. Nathan's jaw tightens, but he doesn't look at me right away. Instead, he stares at Eli, watching as our son kicks his legs, trying to make the swing go higher. When he finally turns to me, his stormy blue eyes hold an emotion I can't quite name. Acceptance. Resignation. Pain. I knew you would, he says, his voice hoarse. I think I knew from the moment I saw you in his arms. I swallow hard. I never wanted to hurt you. He lets out a quiet, bitter laugh. It was always going to hurt, Claire. No matter what. I look down at my hands, guilt tightening around my ribs. I want you in Eli's life. If you still want that. Nathan's breath stutters like the weight of those words is almost too much. Fully he nods. More than anything. Tears prick my eyes, but I blink them back. Because this is right. This is what's best for all of us. I reach over, placing my hand over his. He looks at me, his fingers tightening around mine for just a second before he lets go. It should have been us, he whispers. I close my eyes. Maybe in another life. We sit there in silence for a long time, until Eli's voice calls out, breaking the moment. Mommy. Look how high I can go. I turn, watching as Daniel stands behind the swing, pushing Eli with a grin on his face. Eli's giggles fill the air and I feel it then. Peace. Nathan sees it too. His lips press into a sad smile as he exhales. He's good for you. I nod, watching Daniel lift Eli from the swing and toss him playfully into the air. He is. Nathan stands slowly, stuffing his hands into his pockets. Take care of yourself, Claire. I look up at him, my chest tight. You too. He hesitates for a moment like there's more he wants to say. But then he just nods once and walks away. I watch him go, my heart aching but not breaking. Not anymore. Guys, this is my life. And when Daniel turns, catching my gaze with that familiar warmth, holding out his hand for me to join them, I take it. And this time I don't look back.